Oh, you got it too. Oh, you got it. Oh, you got it. You got it.
Welcome to Brother to Brother Talk. I'm your host, Mark Carbonell, Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank Foundation. It is also a great time to be uh, uh, bringing forth these issues that are relevant to the Black community and to the greater society at large. Because when there's one part of the body is sick, the whole body is sick. And so when we bring about healing to one segment of the populace, then we bring about healing to the whole the whole makeup of society, and that's our uh, uh, procedure here is to produce solutions at the Midwest Minority Think Tank Foundation. And when you produce solutions, you're bringing about healing, of course, across the board. And you have to start at home. You have to start in your own capital, your own community, your own neighborhood, indeed in your own household. And so that has to emerge, and that's what Brother to Brother Talk is about. How can we set forth solutions, and what are the solutions that we can set forth, and the strategy of how do we accomplish what is spelled out in the solution. And we are looking forward to that. And we have taken the series thus far of Black political free agency and how we arrive at moving away from alignment solely to on a monolithic path to being able to present our issues in such a manner that uh, those who would be candidates or parties that seek the support from the community as a block then must address our issues and concerns in a way that is satisfactory. And that way is, well, we have to start negotiating prior to an outcome. Because if you wait until an outcome has been settled, then you have to ask according to the goodness of the person who is already in the power seat. And so we're going to deal with those issues later. And also, I have joining tonight Ronald Yates from uh, Poconos, Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, and uh, he will be joining us later and sharing with us from his perspective on this matter of Black political free agency. Tonight, our focus is going to be on building coalition. Building coalition is not necessarily uh, reaching beyond the community initially. We have to not take for granted that everyone within the Black community has the same view. And so we have to learn to build coalitions even within the Black community before we can embrace the fullness of diversity. And we have to look at the diversity that's already present right in our own community. And once we are able to establish that our issues are broader than just one issue, it's broader than just race. It's not just Black versus white or Black versus other minorities. Our issues are far more complicated than that. And so to simply make everything an anti some group is not going to resolve the issues that surface and have surfaced in our community. So uh, there are various factions within our community that have different issues and different concerns that must be addressed. And until we can have a broad enough coalition structure that will incorporate all the issues and concerns of the community. And then because the approaches are different, or the assigned uh, issue may be differ. We have to learn to build coalitions so that then we can present an even greater unified voting bloc, but one that includes everyone's issues. We're going to take a break, and when I come back, we're going to come back with Ronald Yates, and we're going to weigh in on how we build coalitions within the Black community, and what those coalitions look like, and what is it that we would be asking in each of those various areas. I'm Mark Carpenter, Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank Foundation, and we're here with Brother to Brother Talk. We're going to take a break and I'll be right back. This is Brother to Brother Talk. We will take a break and we'll be right back. I'm Mark Carpenter, Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank. We'll be back with more solution-driven dialogue on Brother to Brother Talk.
Beef.com.
Welcome back to Brother Talk. I'm Mark Carvin, the Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank Foundation, and we're dealing with building coalitions within the Black community and within the voting bloc. It does not have to be monolithic in terms of issues and concerns, but it can be broad enough and strong enough and made stronger as a caucus of people, and becomes even a lobby of people when we build coalitions within the community initially, and then take those fresh coalition bonds to the candidates or parties who are, or whoever are seeking an elected office. Also, it's important to build coalition because there are a lot of issues, campaigns that surface that we are asked to vote upon, and many times these issues are left out of the mainstream because of we're pushed into choosing a personality or lining up with a particular personality, line up with a particular party, that many concerns that may conflict between an issue and the candidate or the party. So we need to build these coalitions so that we are aware, educated, and aware of what is taking place in our own community. Welcome, Ron, and thank you for joining us this evening as we're dealing with the broader issue of Black political free agency. But right now, we want to focus in on building coalitions. So, Ron, what are your thoughts on building coalitions within the Black community to cover all the bases of the issues that concern us?
Well, Mark, thanks for having me. In terms of the coalitions or building coalitions, I think we have a number of coalitions that have been around since, the 50s and the 60s with the civil rights movement. Now, I guess during the 70s, latter half of the 60s, early 70s is when the government under the COINTELPRO program was dismantling those organizations, is breaking those coalitions. But I think that now, in light of the COVID crisis that is, disproportionately affecting people of color, the fact that we had Trump in office, I think that it sort of galvanized the Black community. You see that in terms of voter turnout. You see that not just here in this country, but around the world. You see countries that were considered third world countries that are now rising socially, economically, politically. And in this country, I think you have a lot of people of color, that is, who recognize that the only way we're going to survive in this time, this this pandemic, the only way we're going to survive economically is for us to begin to come together. And you see that happening in this country. I've mentioned this before. You had 19 families down in Georgia that bought 96 acres of land. And what they're doing is they are making an investment, for now and in the future. This is land that they'll hold into perpetuity so that their children, their children, their grandchildren, grandchildren will be able to benefit from that land, right? That's one thing God is not making any more of, and that's land. So I think the coalitions are there. I think we just need to shore up those relationships, right? And I think once that happens, we'll be on stronger footing economically, politically. We can talk about, having a seat at the table. We can talk about more candidates of color running for office. We have a Black woman who's going to be a heartbeat away from being the president of the United States. So that is a major feat for a country that has a long legacy of discrimination and also a bias toward women. So this is a major leap for this country.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly that we're making progress, and there are existing coalitions. And uh, my concern is that new thoughts are rising. And of course, you have the conventional coalitions of representing the Black community, NAACP, SCLC, uh, the Urban League, and now Black Lives Matter has come forward, and there's some uh, movement within the formation of the new Black Panther Party. But there are other coalitions that are being overlooked, and that is the uh, diversity of young people's thoughts, their use of the social media platforms, and their ability to reach one another. I think that the traditional and conventional organizations and those coalitions, those bonds are, yes, they're strong, and when you have new individual voices, let me clarify what I mean by the young people and the uh, social media platform. An individual can have millions of followers, and those individuals have such a great influence in building their own constituencies. And so those are coalitions that the conventional avenues have to reach out for, and in order to do that. And and as a result, uh, we're missing a lot of opportunities to actually nurture and build those coalitions. And one of those issues that arose was when we had Ice Cube raised up his proposal for a contract with uh, Black America. So there are a number of coalitions that are rising, and we're hoping that when we look at how do we build these coalitions within uh, the community, then we can have a stronger uh, command of the power of the vote, and be able to better utilize the strength that comes with unity. I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we're reaching out to our friend and from radio personality Ron Yates. We're having a little technical flare up there. We got to get him back. He's in a snowstorm up there in the mountains, and so we're going to see if we can reconnect with him on the flip side of this announcement. This is Brother to Brother Talk. We will take a break and we'll be right back. I'm Mark Carter-Knowles, Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank. We'll be back with more solution-driven dialogue on Brother to Brother Talk.
BrewingSpeak.com.
The Great Lockdown of 2020, a mid-crisis analytical report, represents a historical work. The people provide indicators to their needs and roles in building and establishing the new norm. The voice of the people places at the fingertips of decision makers knowledge of how the area's resources should be deployed to best serve the society and address the needs and concerns of the people going forward. This study serves as a guide to where key research should be directed and sets the course to engage resources during crises by future social theoreticians. Comparison of responses on multiple levels provide an uncanny insight. The capture of a population's response in the midst of a crisis compared to a post-crisis reflection shall prove to be of monumental value into human reactions facing uncertainty during and post a calamity. How do I write my life story? I know hurt and pain. I don't like either one, whether physical or emotional. Herein contains my story, Not Without Scars Part 2. Optimism, perseverance, persistence, resilience. 2 decades of personal struggle. Optimism. I faced the new millennium with hopefulness. Perseverance. My ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve never allow me to turn away from a difficult task. Persistence. Opposition should be anticipated as an effective strategy to victory surfaces. Resilience. Difficulties do not automatically spell termination. Scars reveal my imperfection as reminders of past episodes of pain, sorrow, or triumph. Scars can tell beautiful story endings or relay misery that wishes to remain anonymous. This work is meant to help others who have experienced decades of struggle. When struggles appear to never end, you must get through the night and face the challenge of a new dawn with fresh hope.
Welcome back to Brother to Brother Talk, and I'm here with my brother Ron Yates, and glad to have you back. We had a little Wi-Fi challenge there for a moment, but what you touched on, we talked a little bit earlier about understanding, well, what it really comes down to, understanding the political process and the election cycle. The battle is not over with because of the 2020 outcome of the presidential election. We have to gear up and get ready for the 2022 off year or midterm of the presidency election. So with that being stated and building coalition, what do you see, Ron, as whether you call it demands or negotiation or addressing issues? What do you see going into the 20? I know we haven't even gotten through the inauguration yet, but it's not too early. I'm all for now going strong toward the 2022 cycle, because once the power has been set, it's difficult to unseat it, and of course then you have to negotiate going forward and position yourself. Let's not call it negotiation yet. Let's call it position yourself and understanding the political process and the election cycle.
Well, I think we're in a pretty good position right now because of the actions of Donald Trump. The Republican Party is in disarray. You have Republicans attacking each other publicly. So the Democrats, of course, are looking to take advantage of the situation in the Republican Party right now. So, of course, they're looking toward 2022. What's going to happen down in Georgia? Who knows? That is the focus right now, the state of Georgia and those two special elections down there. But in the future, of course, if the Democrats win one or both of those seats in Georgia, of course, they're going to be looking to hold on to control both houses of Congress. And the only way to do that is to strengthen their base. And of course, one of the main, areas of support for the Democratic Party is, Black and brown voters. So while the Republican Party is bleeding Republicans, you have people who have been long-term Republicans who are now leaving the party, who are becoming independent, right? And who are now talking about, sort of coalescing with the Democratic Party. So we're in a pretty good position right now. They're going to be looking for support. And of course, we're going to be looking for some things as well. And I think we need to be aggressive in our demands. I think that we should be talking about, of course, reparations. I think we should be talking about assisting countries in Africa or the continent as a whole. Things like eliminating Africa's debt to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Things that we do for Israel every year, the same can be done for Africa. More is taken out of Africa than is put into that continent. So, those are things that we should be talking to our legislators about right now, because for years we have given the Democratic Party our vote and got nothing in return. And I think that now people are realizing, with each passing election cycle, whether it be for Congress or for the presidency, we're not getting anything. We're just being left behind. I think that people are beginning to realize that we have to demand now, because a closed mouth doesn't get any results.
Well, that's true. One of the key factors that I think now going forward, as you said, one party is weakening and hemorrhaging right now, but at the same time, the current party that's coming into power and has an opportunity to, as you said, control both houses of Congress. There must be some concrete ideas set forth, as opposed to I'm not the other party. That worked to get this election done. I'm not that person, so vote for me. And you got that result. Now you have to produce. I think it's now time that the ear is there. It should be there, and we are operating off the assumption that now we can be heard and that someone will act on it, and it's not just lip service that you. So we're operating off the premise that we can be heard, and with that, it should create some optimism and some hope. And so it's not too early to look at what can happen during the midterm election of 2022.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, like I said on my show, we talked earlier, I said we were talking about the agenda for 2021, but it's actually 2021 beyond. When people plan, when businesses plan, they plan a strategic agenda for years to come. To plan for next year, the year beyond, is to be short-sighted, even narrow-minded, and we got to expand upon that. Right? We can't turn around all of our problems in a year or 2 years. We need to be working on addressing these problems for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. We need to have a long-term agenda so that, with each incoming administration, we'll address another problem. The thing we can work on now immediately would, of course, be the need in the Black community, like in all communities, for economic relief. People haven't had a stimulus check since July. Matter of fact, I think it was the additional monies they got ended in July. So we're talking 5 months that people really got no assistance from the government, and people are hurting, families are suffering. And if America has a cold, the black community has pneumonia. So we need those funds, like everybody else, and we need access to health care because we're dealing disproportionately with the COVID crisis. So those are two issues that we need to address now, and it's a matter of life and death. So those are things we need to talk about now. And then in the future, 2022, with the midterm elections, we can talk about some other issues. But we need these things addressed right now.
And I think that a key word right now would be accountability. That was part of what this was the principle that was missing out of the previous administration. And so now that you have secured a new path forward, accountability, you shouldn't just wait and see. We should have some standards, and this is part of that coalition building that's necessary to hold individuals accountable. So just it's not about just blaming a whole party or a whole system. What is each individual's voting record? What what new legislation have you proposed? It's not enough to say this party didn't do anything. What did you propose? What legislation did you sponsor? So accountability is going to be great going forward. And as you stated, you can't wait until 2022, the midterm election, and overlook the municipal elections that are going to come forth in 2021.
Mhm.
So you can easily get caught up in the 2022 election and miss the local issues and concerns and the officials that are going to be elected locally. One of the things that is so substantial is the state houses that shape the congressional district for the upcoming elections. And so the municipal elections are just as vital as the national election in terms of what funding that comes down from the federal government and comes to the state and ultimately to counties and municipal uh, control. You have to know who's in charge, who's going to be accountable for those funds that's coming into your community, and what are they going to direct that? Where are they going to direct that? What programs and how is it going to ultimately impact the citizens in your community? Right.
I think that across this nation, we need to keep people energized, right?
Yeah.
Because after the election, people tend to fall asleep and they only want to be re energized when it's time to vote again. People in this country, and I don't care where you go, people will tell you that we need to have change in this country. But every 6 years, they put Mitch McConnell, they send him back to Congress, right? You say you want change, but you keep sending the same people back. And then you wonder why nothing has changed or things got worse. So we need to keep people energized. We need to tell them, look, there's an alternative, right? Because what you have been doing, the people you've put your faith in for so many years, nothing has changed. In fact, things have gotten worse for you. So, we need to keep people engaged, make them aware of, as you said, the voting record, right? And just how long have you been here? Mitch McConnell's been around 40 years. And in 40 years, Mitch McConnell's gotten richer, but the people of his district have gotten steadily poorer. So, these are things that we need to make people aware of, point out to them, and give them an alternative.
Right. Well, Ron, I want you to prepare your 2 minute drill. And we're going to take a break and come back with your 2 minute drill. And we're going to wrap up tonight. And you always bring such key information and great insight. We appreciate you. Get your
Oh, thank you.
drill. Get your 2 minute drill ready.
Okay, okay.
This is Brother to Brother Talk. We will take a break and we'll be right back. I'm Mark Carvin Oles, Managing Director of the Midwest Minority Think Tank. We'll be back with more solution-driven dialogue on Brother to Brother Talk.
Beef.com.
And we're back. And Ron, you have the platform. You have the 2 minute drill.
Okay, I appreciate you having me on, as I said before, and I think that I've said this before on your show, that we need to have these dialogues. We need to continually dialogue amongst each other and also amongst other groups, because the reality is we all need one another, regardless of your skin tone, complexion, texture. We all need one another. I'm talking about Black people. We grew up knowing our neighbors. We grew up caring for our neighbors. If you had a piece of meat, your neighbor had the bread, you got together, you made sandwiches. We've gotten away from that. And now we're being forced to do it because we realize the urgency of what's going on with the COVID, the economic downturn that's disproportionately affecting us, so much so as is the coronavirus. So we need to start building first our communities, right, on a local level. And then, we get into those movements like Black Lives Matter, where we have these mass movements, right? When we go out, we protest, we demand, and, we bring about some meaningful change that we haven't had in a long time.
Well, Ron, as always, we're pleased that you will give us your time and your insight. Delighted to have you with us. And thank you all for joining us once again for Brother to Brother Talk. I'm your host, Mark Carvin Oles of the Midwest Minority Think Tank Foundation. So we thank you and we appreciate you, and we look forward to our next opportunity to be with you on Brother to Brother Talk.
You got it too.